Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll find out the craziest beefs in NBA history. Kevin Durant versus Russell Westbrook. It started long before the summer of 2016. Westbrook and Durant, being as talented a duo as they are, never got over the hump. Many felt that Westbrook's relentless shooting and a late game decision making were holding back the small forward. When the Thunder took a 3-1 lead in the 2016 Western Conference Finals, there was a sense that pain would be spilled. What followed was a shocking free agent decision, which left Westbrook angry and hurt, and the two remained speechless for months. This dispute has subsided in recent years, but in a couple of seasons after Durant's controversial departure from Oklahoma City to Golden State, it was clear that Durant and Westbrook were not on good terms. Westbrook even made it clear before the 2017 finals that he would put a sister act 2 over the Warriors in the finals. A clean blow to the former partner. They had some unresolved issues after the breakup, and it was a heads-up match when the Thunder defeated the Warriors in November 2017. After Westbrook stole the ball from Durant, the two clashed head-to-head. The athletes were responsible for a verbal exchange and separated from their teammates. It was the first sign the two players recognized each other and fueled the fire for the fans and members of the media who wanted a more definitive demonstration of their problems. Reggie Miller versus Spike Lee. Miller and Lee's beef hasn't survived over the years. The two have been exchanging compliments and laughing every time Miller announces a Knicks game at Madison Square Garden. But in the 1990s, fans tuned in to see what scams the two were getting into. As discussed in one of ESPN's first 30 by 30, Miller tortured New York's at its peak. Miller was known for his constant trashy speeches and his talents for drama, and Lee, always on the pitch for a Knicks game, was too close to a Miller's adventures. The two regularly teased each other during the game. There was even a real antipathy between them, which manifested itself on the pitch as Miller reached for an even higher level of pay against the Knicks. The peak of this beef came in the 1995's playoffs when Miller stole a game at Garden by scoring 8 points in the final 8.7 seconds into the race. Much to Lee's dismay, Miller was reignited with his rubbish speech recently when he tweeted about Lee's arguments with Knicks safety last March. This issue is nothing but superficial at this point, but these two have provided fans and several YouTube clips of their squabbling. LeBron James and Diane Gilbert. This dates back to the decision within the summer of 2010s. James, the heroes of the Cavaliers' hometown, who played their first 7 seasons of his career, has opted to change of scenery. It wasn't common at the time for players to swap teams, especially after winning 2 consecutive MVPs. But James had the right to do so as Cleveland couldn't surround him with the other championship caliber teammates. Gilbert's, the owner of the Cavaliers, saw fit to push a ferocious letter about James' decision to go away, including many quotable passages calling like a move to shameful play of selfishness and the betrayal of our own colleague. It changed the motion to levels previously unknown and never seen before. Gilbert was fined $100,000 by the NBA, but continued to cast a shadow over his former superstar, as if tweeting congratulations to Mark C and the entire Mavs organization. The MAVs have never stopped, and the entire franchise gets rigged. Old lessons for everyone. There are no shortcuts. Soon after James and the Heat lost in the 2011 finals, James left Cleveland once again after the 2017 to 2018 seasons, while the franchise once again failed to surround him with talent. Jason Kidd versus Jim Jackson. This beef is wild. Orderly, cloaked in falsehood, these three were rising stars on a mediocre Maverick squad in the late 1990s. You may have heard the story, where Jackson allegedly stole a date with Kiss singer Toni Braxton. but all parties were involved, and this process denied it. While this is the most publicized reason for the young Big Three's demise, the real reason was a good ego clash. SB Nation has an informative video on the entire saga that delves into the relationship of these three, but the bottom line was that they were all selfish and not controlled by the series of ill-equipped coaches. All three wanted the team to be built around them and were frustrated by the team's continued losses. Immaturity played an important role in the implosion of this talent core. Jackson and Kidd reportedly fought for the woman as well. The most surprising aspect of this situation was the constant media attack between the teammates. You don't see players of the same team publicly criticizing their teammates and wanting to be traded, especially these days. But these three didn't care. It was all fair game. Matt Barnes versus Derek Fisher. This incident broke out on Twitter at the time and resulted in fans instantly creating memes. Barnes and Fisher were Laker teammates from 2010 to 2012 and were reportedly close friends at the time. In the drop of 2015, Fisher was instructed the Knicks and Barnes was preparing for Grizzlies training center. Barnes was going through a divorce apparently. Fisher developed a relationship with the lady. Barnes learned that the two were having some sort of relationship and spending a lot of time at his home with their children. And as the story moves on, it is said that Barnes moved to Los Angeles to comfort his former teammate. Barnes says the trip wasn't fair, but early reports indicates he drove more than 95 miles to fight Fisher. They fought at 11:45 p.m. Barnes claimed that he won, and then approached his ex-wife as well. But the next day's footage did not show Fisher sustained any obvious injuries. However, Fisher has not filed a complaint, choosing instead to repeatedly tell reporters he likes to keep private matters private. This problem seems to be an isolated incident, but it is one of the strangest and most publicized fights in recent NBA history. Gilbert Arenas versus Jarvis Crittenden. This beef was a long, some others as this list, but it has reached its highest boiling point. Arenas' arms related suspension is well known, however the true story behind the incident is somewhat unclear. Although Arenas claims that this book is not the memory of his story, the Wizards teammates Karen Butler described the situation in his book Tough Juice: My Journey from the Streets to the NBA. It describes how Arenas and Crittenden had a fight on the team plane for $1,100. Crittenden felt Arenas owed him a game cards in December 2009. Arenas and Crittenden exchanged words and both had to part ways, leading them to threaten each other. 2 days later, Arenas took out 4 unloaded guns in the locker room before training and allegedly told Crittenden to pick one that he would use to shoot him. Crittenden then drew his charge, cocked his gun, and targeted Arenas as the rest of the team fled the scene. Both players were suspended for the remainder of the 2009 and 2010 season and never played a significant minute in the NBA again. Crittenden was later sentenced to 23 years in prison in 2015 for pleading guilty to manslaughter and admitting to joining a Los Angeles gang after being drafted into the Lakers in 2007. Michael Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas. Michael Jordan is the simplest basketball athlete to ever play the sport, but he also played with a huge chip in his shoulder. Jordan would use every setback, every insult, and every instance of disrespect as motivation to travel around and destroy his opponents. He never ignored that he didn't make his high school varsity basketball team, or that makes 2 players were picked ahead of him in the 1984 NBA draft. And he never forgot his initial All-Star game as a rookie. It was at this stage that Isaiah Thomas was allegedly involved in freezing out of Jordan. It was here where MJ started his distance for the Detroit Pistons point guard. Shaq versus Kobe. The Los Angeles Lakers were a basketball dynasty in the early 1990s when they managed to triple between 2000 and 2002. With Shaq O'Neal and Kobe Bryant in the lead, the Lakers had something in Tinseltown. They're exciting, prolific, and dominant. However, they could have so much more. What's preventing this from happening? Shaq and Kobe hated each other, and this was no secret. Shaq believed that the offense had to keep going through him, and Kobe thought the center was lazy. Moreover, the two managed positions their defense aside long enough to win more titles. But in Hollywood, there's only room for a single alpha dog, and in the end, the Lakers chose Kobe, who ended up winning 2 more crowns for Diesel. These two superstars have been grinding their meat ever since. If only they had it done it years ago, the Lakers team could have been very special. That's it for today's video. Stay safe, stay happy, and I really do hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.